"Why would you try and rob me?" he asked. This time his voice much gentler than the roar from just a minute ago. The lie was on the tip of my tongue, but as I looked into his intense brown gaze, it would not come out. He studied me so closely, I felt that he could see straight through me. His eyes roamed over my face, my hair, my eyes, my mouth. There was no part of me he didn't see. "Because," I whispered, "I'm a thief." Not able to lie to him, I just couldn't. I avoided looking him directly in his eyes. Instead, I stared at the thick muscle in his neck. His Adam's apple moved as he swallowed. He had to be human. He had an Adam's apple, right? Were there other species of human? Maybe he was a werewolf or something like that. Or maybe he was an avenging angel. Yeah, that's what he put me in the mind of. "Are you an angel?" I asked breathlessly. He let out a bitter laugh, letting go of my hair, allowing me once again to stand on my feet. "Nah, baby, far from it." He turned and looked around at the damage he had done to his place. My mind screamed for me to run, but my legs would not move. I had witnessed his speed. I saw the man leap from the second floor and land in the middle of the ring without a flinch, before he charged at me, fast. If I tried to run, he would catch me, and this time there was no doubt in my mind that he would kill me. I lifted shaky fingers to my throat and I tried to rub away some of the rawness. "You messed up, shorty. You know that, don't you? You messed up by trying to break into my place," he asked, turning his intense chocolate gaze back to me. Right then, a group of about 10 men came through the front and back door. They all held guns. They were aimed and they were ready to shoot. I held my hand up, giving my men the signal to lower their weapons. "King, upstairs," I said to my pet, and watched as he without hesitation moved to obey me. The last thing I needed was extra attention drawn to him. What I needed to do right now was focus my attention completely on this snake of a woman in front of me. I should have known she was up to something yesterday. I had been so caught up by her beauty that I had allowed myself to miss some things I shouldn't have. Had I not learned anything from the last time? Or where Delilah had gotten away with her treachery, this woman will not. "Everything all right, boss?" The man I saw locking up the place earlier asked Lion. Walking next to him was the guy in the dog tags. Someone turned on the lights, causing me to wince at the sudden brightness. Instantly, I looked at Lion with the lights on, looking for fangs or a tail or S on his chest. His thick locks fell down past his waist, swinging as he moved. He wore a black tank top, black sweats, and a pair of black Timberland boots. His outfit was so much like mine, I had to shake my head in wonder. However, our clothes was where the similarities ended, because clearly something was wrong with him. I looked to see if any of his skin was green. His lean body, though powerfully built, was that of a man. He has the body of a fighter, not that of a Hulk. Yet I saw him throw 2 wooden tables across the room, and they splattered like tomatoes against the wall. I heard the activity taking place around me as the men moved around cleaning up the mess and securing the place, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from him. I know I should be trying to find a way to slip out of this situation, but the only thing my brain could focus on was him, wondering what he was. "Did she see you do this?" Danny asked as he took in the young girl staring at me like I had a tree growing out my head. I looked back at Butta. She flinched. Turning back around, I looked at my Ak and exhaled. He rubbed his hand frustratingly across his chest. "Yeah," I told him. "And now she's terrified of me." "Man, that temper of yours," Big Ox scolded as he came to stand next to me. "I know you hate when I bring this up, bruh, but it's my job. You remember Roscoe, right?" he asked. "See, This really pissed me off. My man and I were like one blood. We fight together and we'll probably die together. However, they acted as if I wasn't human and capable of making mistakes. Yeah, man, I remember Roscoe, but I was a kid and I had made a dumb decision like many youths. The big ox looked at me as if what I said was complete garbage. Lion, he said, poking me in my chest. You put a boy's head through a cement wall. He spaced out his words as if he was speaking to a child with a mental disability. I turned away from him. I didn't need to be reminded of that horrible day. I had done a lot of damage that day. Not just to Roscoe, but his whole crew. And I was gunning for Delilah. But it was Roscoe that got the worst of it. But what my brothers didn't know was that there was one sin that haunted me. I could never forget where my anger led me that day, just like it almost led me to kill Nuria today. Shalom, Aki, Adam, another one of my brothers said coming through the door. Dressed in jeans, a t-shirt, and gym shoes, you wouldn't know that he was a cop, if not for the gun he wore on his shoulder holster and the badge he wore on his waist. Shalom, I responded to him. Well, 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 a man I can only assume was Adam's partner said following him through the door. What do we have here? He walked, approaching the girl, his eyes brightening with recognition. I didn't like the way he looked at her. Not at all. If it ain't the famous Butta baby. His voice boomed across the room, drawing my attention away from Lion. I let out a loud breath and dropped my head. Damn, not this clown. The last thing I needed was a cocky cop that thought he was the stuff just because he wore a damn badge to give me static right now. This really was the last thing I needed at this moment. I disliked this cop about as much as I disliked Dollar Bill. He is as crooked as they came, and thought just because he carried a badge, he had a license to do whatever he felt like. Officer Jackson, I greeted, holding my head up. I'd be damned if I let another criminal make me feel shame. Lion looked at the other officer, who also watched the interaction between me and his partner. When he saw Lion's eyebrow raised in questioning, he shrugged before he looked at his partner. You know this woman? He asked him. Oh, yes. The famous Butta baby. The beautiful sticky finger extraordinaire. See, this is what I'm talking about. Officer, you violated my rights. I'm innocent until proven guilty. And since you ain't never proved nothing, you need to stop tarnishing my character with your false accusations, I snapped. Oh yeah, I know my rights. My habitual reading has led me to a few law books. Jackson threw back his head and laughed. Just like Butta baby, right? He said, letting his eyes roam over my body, not trying to hide his interest. I felt like throwing up. Hey, brother, I demanded from the side of him, the force of my words startling him, drawing his attention to me so that he could see the frown on my face and see that I wasn't happy with his actions. And you are, he asked, trying to puff up his chest, clearly embarrassed that his initial response was fear. Butta snorted and shook her head at the coward. I could feel my anger rising again. You see, I didn't appreciate this puny cop at all. First of all, I didn't like the way he looked at Butta. That alone made me want to crush him. Instead, I looked at Adam, who had become a brother to me, and I motioned for him to handle his new partner before I was forced to do something that I was going to have to repent for later. Adam cleared his throat. Jackson, how do you know this young lady? More than aware of the danger his arrogant partner was in. She a legend down at the 5th precinct. She'll steal anything that ain't nailed down. And she might even get that too. Prove it, pig, Butta spat at him. Jackson sucked on his teeth, shaking his head at her. You might want to try to be nice to me, Butta. Die, cop, she responded. What you want us to do, Adam asked me. I stared at the girl, who had forgotten all about her fear for me because of her anger at this police officer. She was magnificent. Even now, even after she had tried to rob me, proven to be treacherous just like Delilah, I still wanted her. I still wanted her bad. Here's the footage of our little thief slipping into the window, Danielle said, handing me a little tape. What you say, Adam? We have proof? Has the elusive Butta baby finally gotten caught? Jackson said, looking at Butta with fake shock. She opened her mouth to tell him where he could put his proof, but I had enough of him speaking to my woman. Enough! The little wimpy cop jumped about a foot off the ground. Butta smirked at him. What a coward. Did you secure the windows? I asked Danielle. He nodded. Okay, look, we'll meet back here tomorrow. For now, I need y'all to leave so I can deal with this. You sure, Adam asked. Yeah, 'cause I got a pair of handcuffs with Butta's name on it, and I bet she won't slip out of them, the wimp volunteered. Butta gave him the finger. You put a finger on her, and I will break every bone in your body. I spoke those words softly, but they were no less deadly. Jackson's eyes widened in fear before he looked at his partner, but cringed when he saw that Adam watched him with the look that told him he would help me accomplish what I promised. The big Ock and Danielle came to stand on the other side of me, giving the officer the same look. Yeah, like I told you earlier, we fought together and we'll probably die together. That's real. It was clear that the four men were one tight unit. A grunt came from the door, drying mine and Officer Jackson's eyes, and standing there was another big man, this one seeming to have stepped right off the page of an old western. He wore a beat-up leather duster that lay over his wide shoulders to his ankles. On his feet were a pair of cowboy boots. His hair was in long cornrows, and on the top of his head sat a wide-brimmed cowboy hat. And he, like the other four men, looked completely deadly. A flash of something metal caught my eye at his waist. What the? I blinked. Is that a sword? Before I could get a good look, he moved his hand, and the duster fell to cover it. The whip cleared his throat. Okay, well, looks like we all finished here. I'll be in the car. He turned and practically ran out the door. Lion gestured after him, looking at Adam. Yeah, I know, Ock. I have worked with the man for only a week, and already I'm ready to shoot him. Looking at these men, it was clear that they were all close friends. I noticed they all wore those strings dangling from their shirts. I looked at the big guy at the door and was willing to bet any money that he wore those strings under that duster, along with his sword. Something was off about this group, especially Lion. You sure you don't want us to lock her up? The officer asked. I stiffened when Lion's gaze came back to me. A long time passed as his eyes slowly raked up and down my body. I'm a brown girl, but I'm pretty sure I turned red. His eyes turned completely bedroom on me, and then he licked his lips. I felt myself change physically, and if you're a woman, you know what I mean. I told myself I should use good sense and let Adam take her away and out of my life. I didn't need another troublesome woman in my life. The first one had nearly gotten me killed. Dear Father Yah, give me the strength. Please, Abba Yah, if it ain't meant for me to have this woman, please take her away from me. I waited for the will to let her go. When it didn't come, I decided I would keep her because I just wasn't strong enough to let her go on my own. However, I will have her on my terms. Yeah, Ock, I'm sure. She mine, I said, holding her gaze. At his words, 3 sets of stunned eyes turned to look at me. The man with the dog tag had a worried look on his face that bordered on pity. Adam, the cop, smirked in amazement. The cowboy at the door just nodded his head. But it was the grin on the one's face he called the Big Op that caused me to panic. "Please take me with you," I cried to the police officer. The man's smirk only broadened. "You supposed to serve and protect. I need protection," I said in a small voice, my eyes going back to Lion's hungry ones. Suddenly I knew that if they left me here with him, he was going to consume me. "All right, boss. We'll see you tomorrow then," the officer said instead, before he and the man with the dog tags took turns clasping hands with Lion, pulling each other close, showing their brotherly affection. "Also, 2 more turned up missing," he said. "When?" Lion responded, his body stiffening. "Reported this morning." This instantly got my attention. "Who's missing?" I asked. "We'll talk about it tomorrow," Lion told his friends. "Wait, please, I need to know." "Some things is better if you didn't know," Danny said, and turned to walk out the door. "What does that mean?" I asked, feeling desperate for any information I could get that could help me find Lovely. Lion watched me closely. I tried to school my features. I didn't want him to know anything about me. "Later, preacher," he called to the big man at the door, who answered with a grunt before he disappeared out the door. "Please," I said to their retreating back, but they never stopped, and Lion's intense gaze kept my feet rooted to the spot. I felt like a doe being hunted by the creature from which he was named after, not wanting to move and cause him to pounce on me. My attention went from between the front door that the men had just left back out of to Lion. We were all alone now, and the hair stood up on the back of my neck. I was in danger. Every now and then I